everyone, and welcome to the Propcast. My name is Louisa Dickens, co-founder of LMR Re and board director of the UKPA, and I shall be your weekly host. Each week for 30 minutes, we'll be connecting the VCs, PropTech startups, and real estate professionals globally, and assist in bridging that famous communication gap we all love talking about. So sit back, relax, and enjoy the show. Hi everyone, and welcome back to the Propcast. Today we will be talking about how PropTech can support clients drive efficiencies through better property management and communications. And we will be speaking with David Fuller-Watts, CRO and Head of Product of Malcolm, and Ben Chesser, founder of Knique. So welcome to the show.
Hi Louisa, happy to be here.
Hi, great to be here. Thanks for inviting us.
So David is a technology specialist that has worked in the real estate sector for over 15 years and leads the product development of the award-winning PropTech platform, Malcolm, used by more than 350 commercial real estate destinations to manage communications, operations, retail, and community engagement. David moved from the UK to the USA in 2018 to establish Malcolm across North America and returned to the UK in February 2020 to continue the global growth of the business into new verticals and new geographies. Malcolm is a 360-degree integrator for managing and engaging real estate communities, tenants, operations, suppliers, shoppers, and other stakeholders. Now, the product transforms the user's experience of the space, creates loyalty by connecting people to places, whilst delivering efficient operations, significant budget savings, and valuable insights. The platform has been implemented in over 300 destinations in 22 countries so far, and is actually used by over 300,000 users globally. So welcome to the show. And now for Ben's introduction. Having worked for over 10 years as a consultant for some of Europe's largest retail brands, then founded Knique in 2014 to make the advanced tools of the retail giants readily available to every business in the industry. With a clear mission to demystify technology and to put the power back into the hands of marketers, Knique was born. Fast forward, and Knique is today recognized as one of the fastest growing customer engagement and loyalty software companies in the world. The Knique platform powers over £1 billion worth of sales annually for its customers, with more than 20 million consumers shopping at 1,800 brands in 24 countries worldwide. By sticking to Ben's founding principles of putting the customer first, Knique's loyalty programs continue to deliver ongoing sales growth for clients. During his 20-year career, Ben has helped executives to simplify complex technology to work for them. After graduating from Cambridge University, Ben was a management consultant at Oliver Wyman, working with top retailers and technology companies. Ben is also a member of the Across Advisory Board, working with leaders to fast forward the adoption of technology in an industry ready for the challenges and opportunities of tomorrow. So thank you both for joining me. Trying to think, probably the best way for us to introduce both of you would be to tell the audience, what is the connection between both your businesses? How did you both meet each other? Maybe Ben, if you want to start off.
Thank you for that slightly flattering introduction. It sounds like a bit of a love story, but we've known each other for a while as businesses. We've both been in the sector focused on the mall space, the retail destination space, for at least the last, 6 or 7 years. I think what's changed, what brought us together was, two things. One is the realization that the landlords or the mall operators want this kind of technology, but they want the providers to work together, and we can't rely on them to put us together. We have to do it ourselves. So we figured that one out and thought if we're going to give the landlords an easy solution, we have to build it for them by cooperating. And then secondly, it's realizing that the mall space is evolving really fast right now, and the need for technology is on the top of everyone's agenda. So it made sense to cooperate now. And
David, I'd love to hear a little bit more about how your products, I guess we'll start with your product. How does it support clients to drive efficiencies? That is, the main topic of today.
Yeah, thanks, Lou. Just to echo Ben's points, we've been aware of each other for a long time in the retail real estate space. And at Malcolm, we've always prided ourselves as being able to connect multiple different stakeholders within that property management sector. So whether that's retailers and tenant engagement, security teams, operational teams, asset teams, to be able to really facilitate that communication from a business to business part of the process. And then also, of course, working in retail, we're focused on business to consumer and the verticals. And of course, that's where a really good connection with Clinique came up, very much focused on that, and really complementary to what we offer to our customers. And really what we're doing to support our customers right now is we believe that technology really, and I guess this has never been more important, that technology has the potential to drive down the costs of operating a shopping centre. So what we do is automate a number of processes that are required of the centre management teams to allow the owners to maintain the service levels that are expected, but potentially on a slimmed down or even remote working management operation. So whilst what we're trying to do is ensure that we capture the valuable data and really enhance the tenant's experience and the occupier's experience with that.
Awesome. And I'd also love to hear from you, Ben, as well, like a little bit more about your product, if you could introduce it to the audience.
Sure. So what Clinique provides, or Clinique, is a digital engagement platform, we call it. So it's to help landlords and retailers connect with the consumers through digital channels. That could be email, could be apps, could be push messaging. And most of the time that manifests itself in a loyalty program. So we let consumers and shoppers join a loyalty program, get an app, and that provides the connection, and it also provides the data back to the businesses running the malls.
Okay, and since, I guess, going back to sort of David's point, technology is on, the forefront, it's on most of real estate's agenda. The market in terms of technology is becoming more saturated, there's more competition. What, in terms of your product, what sort of differentiates yourself in the market? Maybe David, if you want to go first.
Well, I always like to say that Mulcom solves actual real problems that people actually have and need solving. It's not technology for technology's sake. And I think that mantra has really served us really well in a sector which has traditionally been relatively slow to adopt technology. We believe we have a suite of services that can deliver savings on resource. Just as a recent example, in terms of just closing, reopening surveys, auditing stores to make sure that they're COVID compliant, physical inspections, face-to-face meetings are all very time consuming and resource heavy. And even when people try and move that and start to use technology, maybe they start to send emails and handle it through email. But actually all that does is it moves that challenging, time consuming and resource heavy activities just to online. What Mulcom actually offers is a streamlined process and a connected environment, which means that we connect with multiple different providers like Clinique to be able to deliver real value to our customers. And I think that's really what differentiates us.
And also, can you give me an example and the audience example of maybe a client that you both worked together on and how you've almost like a case study, how you've delivered or made their lives easier?
Shall I jump in?
Yeah, go for it.
So the truth is the partnership is forming now in a sense of truly integrating product. And the reason it's formed is that we've worked sort of on other clients together, but not in a fully integrated way. So what we saw was, I think we're kind of expecting the landlords to lead the charge and say, your products have to be integrated, and they haven't. And hence, sort of David and I have got in touch to do it ourselves. So it's kind of being born as we speak, this fully integrated partnership.
Okay, beautiful. So we'll wait to see what happens. And Ben, what's Clinique's sort of USPs then in the market compared to some other businesses?
Yeah, it was interesting listening to David's answer because I think we see the world in a very similar way. So I think it's two things. Clinique, we only do this. So we're 87 people. All we do day in, day out is build and deploy engagement and loyalty programs for malls. So we know the space very well. Our tool is built, or the technology tool, specifically to do this. So it's a specialist product, specialist team. And that counts for a lot in an industry that's not like very many others. And then secondly, I echo exactly what David said. We don't do vanity projects. We've got 20 million shoppers. We normally will have sort of 15, 20% of the sales in the mall going through our program. So we're not doing projects to win prizes or tick boxes. We really want to impact the businesses we work with. And not all of our competitors do that. There's quite a few kind of startup businesses that do really cool, exciting things, but they don't scale.
Yeah, no, definitely. And I'd love to hear a little bit more about what you're seeing, or what you have seen, pre and post COVID, since retailers, well, most industries, most businesses have been hit. What's changed with what the retailers are sort of looking for out of, say, the consumer now? Maybe David, you want to go first?
I mean, I think from a consumer perspective, the retailers are just looking to get back to normal. I mean, that's a fairly obvious statement, but being open is the first step to actually being able to deliver a really good service. What they're actually trying to do, though, is make sure that they can deliver that service in a really safe way. I don't think this is going to change that much certainly in the next few months, and probably the next couple of years. So what we're doing is trying to work with retailers and our retail partners to make sure that we can deliver them the tools that they need to be able to manage capacity, to be able to make sure they can handle digital, like virtual queuing, and be able to facilitate the communication between themselves and the operational teams on site that actually mean that they can get real value and make sure that they can stay open and be compliant and as compliant as possible.
No doubt you've been busy getting everything ready for hopefully the short term they're going to be open during Christmas, getting ready for these queues.
Sorry.
No, go ahead.
Just to jump in, so I mean, I echo what David said in terms of where they want to be. I think that there's been a fundamental change in the industry, certainly in the shopping centre, shopping mall industry, where, I mean, I would say 3 or 4 years of evolution have happened in 6 months. So there's been a shakeout. The suppliers that were not very efficient or not very forward thinking have already closed, some of them. And the other ones are putting projects that were kind of long term. We need to think about digital in the future. They've now jumped to the top of the agenda, because if you don't do that, you don't survive. So it's accelerated and shaken out the industry incredibly.
And so what trends are you seeing across Europe within developers? Obviously, we've touched on retailers, even small mall owners. Are there any sort of correlation between countries, Ben?
That's an interesting question. I think they're facing slightly different problems because the way that the different governments have approached COVID. But I think the end result is the same, certainly across the markets we work with in Europe. The Middle East and the US are slightly different. But I think how they react is different. So everyone's putting technology higher up the agenda. They're radically or rapidly trying to build the foundations of a digital business. So the e-commerce version of a mall is becoming very apparent in most markets. But to do that, you've got to have a customer database and understand who's shopping. So that's gone on the agenda. What's different, I think, is the approach. I think in Southern Europe, where we run loyalty programs, they work phenomenally well. Consumers really engage with digital platforms. In UK, Germany, it's a bit harder. The consumers are a little bit more hands-off, a bit more distant from digital engagement. But it's happening now faster than ever before. And then you also see a difference in the way that the operators work. Some parts of Europe, they're more keen on trying to build technology themselves, which I would say is not a good idea, but that's my personal opinion. In other markets, they're much more open to partnering and they want to move faster.
You might, going back to the point you made about, say, UK and Germany, sort of basically less into digital. Do you know why that is?
So I think, UK is actually high on e-commerce penetration is very high, but consumers are they're a bit harder to convince to engage with digital technology and digital programs. Maybe they've been saturated by it. I think it's more just the culture, but I do think the last 6 months have changed that. I mean, it's never going to go back. It's changed it a long way forward.
Yeah, interesting. And David, what trends are you seeing across Europe?
I think for us, it's a lot of it's about the speed of implementation. We're certainly seeing a lot more adoption. We're seeing people are craving digital solutions to be able to help them work remotely, just communicating online. We're all doing Zoom calls. We're all doing, virtual meetings. And the way in which shopping centres and buildings are operating is no different to that. So it's about how can they get the tools that they need as fast as possible, and actually how can they consolidate all the tools into the best user experience. So we're doing a lot more integrations now than we perhaps were 2 years ago, where companies were looking for maybe best in class for everything, and they were having multiple different systems and had lots of big teams that they could help support all of these different systems. And now actually they're streamlining, they want better efficiencies, they want to make sure that they know where the data is, and data is also very, very important. I agree with Ben on that. It's become who owns the data, where is it stored, how is it being facilitated, and how can we get not just the data, but actual real insights from it as well. How is it actually helping me run my business more effectively? I think that's really, really important part.
And in terms of integrations, how have you both found that over the past 8 months? Maybe Ben, if you want to go first.
Yeah, I would start off by echoing David's point. There has been a change in the market where, a bit like I said earlier, I think they've gone from wanting to test lots of different technologies in different malls and see what works without really thinking, how is this going to play out in the long term? The conversation now, I would say, is a lot more mature from an IT point of view. They want solutions from partners that know what they're doing that will just definitely work and deliver. And that means we have to be integrated. So exactly the same with us. We've put much more resource onto building our APIs and SDKs so that we can integrate with players. We've invested in integrating with the big SaaS providers that you have to integrate with just to function, because the clients are expecting that. And then working with companies like Morcom, we're trying to find partners who are mature with their technology, they're confident in how it works. It just works. You don't have to worry about whether it's going to deliver against its promises.
Finding the right partners must be quite difficult. David, since all your, the business sort of recent expansion, have you found the integration?
Yeah, actually, as Ben said, we've probably spent just as much time developing our developer portal for processing integrations as we have on the front end of the system. It's become a really important part to have, and our customers are very educated and really want to see that fully rounded solution where they can get the benefits from it. It's not just about integrating, it's about the ability to integrate is really important to customers of ours, to make sure that we have everything in place already, which is almost expected now. It's not so much a case of, how much will it cost to integrate with this partner? As Ben said, they don't want to manage the process. It's about who do you integrate with? Can we get a connection? What type of technology can you use? And that might be anything from us integrating with Clinique from a loyalty perspective, whilst at the same time we're integrating with Sogeris from a building management system or food ordering system, and any of those different types of connections all at the same time.
Okay. And outside of integration, another big thing on lots of businesses' minds is brand and engagement. It's top of a lot of businesses' agendas. Definite increase in sort of recent years. Why is that, Ben?
I think the property sector's changed from being kind of estate agents, landlords, their job is to build something and someone else's job is to turn that into value for consumers. So at least the retail space, they're becoming a lot more consumer facing. So Westfield building a brand, or Bicester Village really promoting its brand. They're pushing their own brands. And stretching that a bit further, I think the retail sector, particularly the landlords, the good ones are becoming platforms in the sense they're saying, what can we do across the board to help retailers, to serve the retailers' businesses, basically. That can be them building their own brand, their own audience, them having better tools, them having better data, them having better marketing of their own shopping centre in that example. So brand comes up to the front. They have to be, in some sense, consumer facing.
And David, what have you seen in terms of brand and engagement so far?
Yeah, I think particularly from a retailer's side, they want to be engaged within the brand in their own ecosystem as well. I mean, 90% of our platform is white labeled to our customers' own brand. So whether that be Savills Insights or whether that be Mall of America Tenant Hub, it's a tool that they see in their own brand that they have familiarity with, and that's really important to deliver that expectation. And of course, coming from that means that our customers want their platform to just work. They can't they don't want to put their brands onto something that doesn't, is unreliable, might go down, because actually they're putting their brands out there and saying, this is our platform and we believe in it.
Yeah. And the big question coming up, which our audience is looking forward to hearing both your answers, is it just about driving revenue at this time when physical real estate is under a lot of pressure? Ben, would love to hear from you.
No, it's not about just driving revenue. I think this year has made us all look really, really carefully at efficiency, cost control, and then also getting revenue back on target to where it should be at this time of year. But I think when we're in conversations with sort of senior members of the bigger and the highest performing operators, it's absolutely about planning for the future. There's been a shock to the industry. Some of that will go back to normal, but a lot of it won't go back to normal. So it's about planning for the future. How will the industry look in 3, 5, 10 years' time? And how do you as a mall operator stay relevant? And by that I mean, when a brand is choosing, does it sell in your mall, or does it sell online, or does it sell in an airport or through a reseller? You've got to make sure you're sort of top of that list. And that's not just about chasing tomorrow's revenues, I don't think.
David, would you agree with Ben?
Yeah, absolutely. I think the industry's had such a big shake-up, and it's been around how can we run our businesses better, and I think they will start to take that into the future and then planning for that. How do we actually look, not taking things for granted, and actually looking at how we can bring in the changes that we've had to make now and bring them forward into the future.
Because this leads us on quite well to our next question, and maybe delving a little bit more into what you both just said. What are the specific measures real estate can take to drive loyalty and retain their customers, Ben?
That's an interesting question, because that could be loyalty to the brands or loyalty to the consumers.
Talk about both.
Yeah, I think they all fit nicely, right? You're not going to have the consumers if you haven't got the brands, and you're not going to have the brands without the consumers. So loyalty to consumers, this is our kind of specialty. This is where we focus. So it's about being relevant for them. It's about creating a dialogue between the mall, not just the retailers, but the mall operator and the consumers. Tell them what's happening, give them relevant news. Most people, when they come to a mall, only care about, let's say, 10 or 15% of the brands. We don't want to all shop 150 brands when we go to a mall. So it's making sure that they know about the relevant information for them at the right time. And then I think for the retailers, the tenants, they want to have the right shoppers. Footfall now is hard to drive, so you better make sure it's the right footfall. They're coming for the right reasons. They're in a safe environment, etc. And then you've got to share data with the brands. This is absolutely key. The brands want to know as much as they can about those shoppers so they can target them better. And they're getting all this data online about how people shop, the retailers online. They need to have something comparable offline.
And David, what are the specific measures that you think will drive loyalty?
Well, I think it's a really interesting point, this, because I think obviously from Wallcom's side, we look at both consumer loyalty and brand loyalty as well. And in general, any prop tech solution looking at occupier engagement and occupier loyalty has to provide specific measures and specific facilities to streamline their processes and make it as easy as possible for the brands. But, as Ben said, footfall's really hard to come by. But some of the things that we've seen from some of our customers, Mall of America, for example, in the US, we're finding that although footfall was really low, actually spending was up. And then how do we measure that? And using tools like Conique, how do we actually measure that to drive that loyalty into those customers so that they're getting the right customers, spending, going to the right stores, going to the right brands? And then how do we then get that data back to the retailer so that we can support them to make sure their business is catering to those people?
And it's the time of year where we're all doing our wonderful board meetings, our fun forecasting. What's next for both your products for 2021? It's been a hell of a year for 2020, but what have you guys got planned? Ben, if you go first.
There's two big things. I actually had my board meeting yesterday. You're exactly right. So for us, there's two big things. One is we're expanding internationally. So we've got an office in Chicago and in Dubai, which stretches us wonderfully across many time zones now. But we're seeing a lot of excitement in the US, particularly. So that's good for us, and that's taking. I mean, the industry's slightly different, but it's taking a lot of things we've learned, particularly from the outlet sector in Europe, into that more environment in the US. And the other one is we just launched a new product 2 weeks ago, which for us is pretty cool. It's normally we're tracking transactions, so we know how much money you spent in stores. And now we're beginning to also track movement and reward movement. So we can reward shoppers just for coming to the mall because we can do their geolocation. And I think that opens up many more opportunities to understand shopper behavior and to give really interesting data back to the landlords and the brands.
Exciting. Congrats on the expansion of the new product. David, what about you? I know you have had a very busy 2020.
Yeah, we have. We're also expanding geographically. Our pushes into Asia Pacific during the course of 2021, having then launched, of course, as I mentioned before, into the US 2 years ago. We have really probably two things that we're really focused on. Firstly, we're focused on sustainability. We think that's really important, really passionate about that throughout the commercial real estate environment and supporting our customers to ensure we can meet their targets and coming up with products and solutions that can help property owners deliver better on sustainability and global warming. And then secondly, on our commitment to deliver more security products and operational products. So from our side, we've done a lot of work over the last 12 months on working with our customers to deliver real, fully rounded solutions. And you're going to start to see from Morecom a lot more of our product suite coming onto the market over the next 12 to 18 months, which is really exciting for us.
Sounds very exciting. And I can sympathize with both of you on working various time zones. It's no fun, but the price you pay for global domination, guys. But best of luck with both of your expansions and continued growth. Unfortunately, we're coming to the end of the podcast, but is there any bit of parting advice either you'd like to share with the audience and the best way for them to connect with you? David, if you want to go first.
I suppose the only advice I would give is, I always say this and people ask me about it, is to work with partners who can deliver. I think it's very easy to choose the cheapest in these times or choose the most standard, but what we want to do is make sure we choose the most connected. We want to make sure that we can create platforms that are scalable, that can deliver long-term goals way past the current scenarios that we're in and situations that we're in. So working with technology companies that you can partner with, that you can build long-term relations with, both Morecom and Conique fall into that category. So yeah, that's really where the advice we would give for that.
And the best way for them to connect with you?
Oh, absolutely. On LinkedIn, I'm available, or Twitter, all the usual social channels. Visit our website, www.morecomapp.com. We'd be more than happy to hear from anyone.
Well, thank you so much for that, David. And Ben, over to you.
The parting advice, the thing that I'm hearing coming from the players in the industry, I think are really, really good, and I listen to them, is this idea of a platform business. So looking to the future, forget thinking that the mall is a real estate business purely where it's just about renting space. It's not. You're a platform for retailers. Think about that. Think about all of the ways you can help the retailers sell more products or deliver a better experience. It might not be about selling products. It might be about acquiring new customers. And that's what I see the really good players doing. It's reinventing their business as a physical platform business. And I think that's a really interesting way of looking at the business as well. In terms of getting hold of me, we've got a website, conning.com, happily engaging on LinkedIn or ben.chesser@conning.com. And I'm a huge fan of people picking up the phone and calling me, but it just doesn't happen very much anymore.
Yeah, it's odd. I run a recruitment business and lots of my team seem to result to emails as well, which is bizarre. But look, both of you, thank you so much for joining us on the podcast. Everyone who's listening in, feel free to connect with David and Ben. And I'm looking forward to catching up with you both after the show.
Great, thank you.
Thanks very much.
Thank you for joining us this week on the Propcast, and a big thanks to our special guests. Make sure you visit our website, www.nmre.co.uk, where you can subscribe to our show, or you'll find us on iTunes and Spotify, where all good content is found. Whilst you're at it, if you found value in the show, we'd appreciate if you could rate and review us on iTunes, or if you simply just spread the word. Be sure to tune in next Tuesday, and I'll catch you later.
Hi, this is Nelson from Property Quants. I'd like to invite you to join our Introduction to Data Science and Machine Learning for Real Estate seminar. To learn more, visit propertyquants.com/seminar and use special code LMRE20 on Eventbrite for a discount.
You're listening to a Podcast Company podcast. This was made by Podcast Syndicator, where we help you go from start to grow to making money with your podcast. Let us help you share your message and your voice with the world. Reach out now, Jason at podcastsyndicator.com or Brett at podcastsyndicator.com to find out more. Thank you for listening, and do come back to hear nothing but the best podcasts.